All right, here we are. Season 3 of the Matt Report. We're ready to go. Shaun Bennett from the Chronicle Telegram, as always. Bruce Bishop's behind the camera today.
How's it going, Shaun?
It's going.
Season number 3.
Ready to kick it off.
All right. Well, first off, let's say thank you to our sponsors. We have Cobos Insurance Center coming back to sponsor the Matt Report once again, so that's pretty huge.
Yeah, they do a great job. Obviously, Bob Cobos and his crew at Cobos Insurance Center. They sponsor this show. They sponsor the radio. They advertise in our 8-page high school wrestling preview section every year. So Bob and his guys are always helping out in the high school wrestling season. As you can see, I was at the Cobos Insurance Classic at Avon Lake. Got one of these awesome T-shirts. He gave me one as last year as well. Last year was kind of the first year they had the Cobos Insurance Classic. This is year number 2, so just great. Here's all the teams that are involved. A lot of fun out there. We'll talk, I'm sure, in depth here over the course of the episode. So, yeah, great time.
Good. All right, we'll keep that shirt around in case you need to refer to the back of it.
Yes, all the teams. They're there.
All right, so I would imagine that at least one of our top 3 performances this week probably comes out of the Cobos Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. The top 3 performances of the week, we'll go with the one right out of the Cobos. It's from Avon Lake, the host school, and that's Drew Del Judas. He is, it's kind of a funny story. He's a senior, made his varsity wrestling debut this year because he has been a soccer specialist his whole time in high school. So obviously the first 3 years he just played soccer and then decided this year to go out for wrestling. He did wrestle in grade school and middle school with the West Shore. That's the feeder group for St. Edward, obviously a very good wrestling program. So he did have some wrestling background, but hadn't wrestled, been on the mats in 3 years. Came out and won the whole thing. He went, I'm sorry, I hate to refer to my notes here, but he went 6-0 with 3 pins and to win a 126-pound championship. Beat some tough guys along the way. His very first varsity match was against Ethan Sear from Avon, returning Division I district qualifier. So that's very impressive. Then he went ahead and beat Brandon DeEgidio of Vermilion, a 3-time district qualifier in Division II. So very tough guy. Very impressive performance. Our second top performance of the week, Daniel Bucknavich of Midview, doing what he does out there at the Comic Classic in Solon. Made it to the final for the 3rd straight year. Won a championship for the 2nd year, heavyweight championship. He went 4-0 with 3 pins. His other win was a forfeit win, so he got max points for his team. 125-pound championship, got an 8-second pin along the way. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, you don't even have to know about wrestling to understand if you put somebody on their back in 8 seconds, that's pretty good. And our final top 3 performance winner is Xavier Santiago of Lorain. He was out at the Titan Classic, the other in-county tournament this weekend, and the host Titans did pretty well there. He went 5-0 with 5 pins. Can't do better than that. He had an 11-second pin. We were just talking about Bucknavich with an 8-second. He had an 11-second pin, so he won the 113-pound championship out there. He also had a 49-second pin and a 43-second pin, so he didn't want to spend a lot of time on the mats.
Yeah,
so
these are paid pay-per-views. I'm wanting my money back.
Yeah. So top 3 performances this week again are Drew Del Judas of Avon Lake, Daniel Bucknavich of Midview, and Xavier Santiago of Lorain.
All right. Okay, so we just made it through our first segment. You're feeling lonely back there? You're not used to being there all by yourself.
No, we're just...
Tim Alcorn's head makes its return appearance.
And obviously everybody knows I'm kind of over here by myself because Tim Alcorn, obviously great job for him to get become the radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a jet setting around the country covering a professional sports organization. Instead of talking high school wrestling with me for about 3 months, I'm sure he's very disappointed about that, but we obviously wish him, good luck and great things. He's doing a great job so far.
Yeah, it's fun to watch his Facebook posts. You can tell every time he hits a new milestone or goes someplace cool, he'll post about it.
Puts the pictures up there.
Absolutely.
And we don't want, and just so you know, we are going to try to, what we're going to try to do this year is have a guest host every week. We're going to try to bring in coaches, assistant coaches, former wrestlers, personalities in Lorain County wrestling that, Lorain County wrestling fans will know and maybe be interested to hear from. So we're going to try to start setting it up starting next week.
All right, good stuff. All right, so we've got some changes, but we do have some returning things, and one of those would be My Favorite Move, sponsored by Century 21 Deanna Family Realty. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on here?
Yeah, well, obviously, obviously, thanks again to Century 21, Deanna Family Realty, Mike Deanna and his group over there. Obviously, it's a good tie-in because their realty. It's called My Favorite Move. Wink, wink. Okay. So my favorite move is basically kind of an instructional video. We kind of got the idea last year to do this when we saw some college wrestlers kind of explaining moves they do really well. They do it instructionally. They show the move. They do it, then they go step by step through it, showing the setup and the execution of the move, and then they show it again. And we said we could do that with our high school guys, and they've done a great job. They did a great job last year, and we're off to another great start. So this week, starting it off, is Illyria's Nate Burnett. It's a sophomore over at Elyria. He's going to be showing the fireman's carry. It's kind of cool because Mick Burnett, his older brother, who's a senior this year, did the first ever My Favorite Move segment last season and in the season premiere. So Nate's, his younger brother, is going to kick off this season. So here it is, My Favorite Move with Illyria's Nate Burnett.
I'm Nate Burnett. I'm a sophomore at Elyria High, and I'm going to show a fireman's carry. I like to get my tie up, and then I come here, and then I pull towards me there. I like to make sure my grip is high up on the arm so I don't lose the arm. I shoot, take them over. I keep the arm on the end so I can get my back foot.
So obviously, a fireman's carry, that is bread and butter for the Burnett's. If anybody knows the Burnett clan, the whole group, they've been teaching that move forever, starting with Ron Burnett decades ago. It's one of the first moves he teaches his youth wrestlers, carried on to Eric and Scott, his sons, and now obviously the third generation, Mick Nader, kind of keeping that move perfected. And all the kids that train at the Burnett Train Wrestling Group, they learn the fireman's carry, and it's a great move to not only earn your takedown, but a lot of times carries right into a near fall to get the back point. So again, that's my favorite move with Illyria's Nate Burnett, brought to us by Century 21 Deanna Family Realty.
Good. All right. I think, just move the table and some lights. I feel like I got it.
Throw some mats down and you can give it a try.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Okay.
We'll try.
Well, we got to get you in a singlet first, though.
Yeah, okay, well then do that. All right, listen, moving on, because we're not going to talk about that, because nobody knows this is bad. All right, listen, Cobos tournament. You mentioned it a little bit at the beginning of the show, so let's talk about what you were checking out while you were there.
Yeah, and again, it was a great tournament run. Well, we opened up our coverage this year. We did. I did some live radio updates on there, and we did some post-match interview videos. So we really have expanded the coverage, and a lot of that is, again, due to Bob Kobos. He kind of sponsored all those things this year, so big thanks to him. And this was his tournament. So we basically, I just wanted to run through some of the champions that locally we had on there. And we mentioned also Drew Del Judas, Avon Lake Senior, won a championship. Avon Lake has 3 seniors this year. They all won championships, so it was pretty impressive. Ty Taggart was another one of the Avon Lake seniors who won. He went 6-0 with 6 pins. Again, that's you can't do much better for your team. You can't do much better individually, so he won that 160-pound championship with 6 pins. The other one was John Perry. He went 6-0 with 3 pins, a technical fall, and a major decision. So the seniors really got it done for the Shoremen this weekend. The other local winners at the Cobos, Zach Orseno from North Ridgeville. He went 5-0 with 4 pins, including a 6-second pin. We've talked about the 8-second pin and the 11-second pin. 6 seconds. For you, those of you who watch wrestling, usually by the first whistle, 6 seconds it takes to get hold of somebody, put them on the ground, and put them on their back. It takes that whole time to get there. So that's basically a very fast move. So Zach Orseno with a 6-second pin. He had obviously a great time on the way to that 113-pound championship. Next up, Vermilion's Chris Bennett, great last name. 6-0 with 4 pins and a major decision to win the 195-pound title. And then Avon's Ty Doherty, 5-0 with 1 pin and 2 major decisions to win the 106-pound championship. And last but not least, Amherst Lavelle Gibson. He went 4-1 with a pin and a major decision to win the 220-pound championship. I mentioned 4-1. He lost to Bays Sage Long in the pool play opener, his very first match, and he lost 8-3 to him. Came back to beat Sage 9-2 in the championship match. So obviously nice to be able to, kind of come back and beat the guy who had just beat him. And he was out. He was a junior for Amherst. He was out his entire sophomore year after suffering a football injury. So this is kind of like his first taste of varsity action himself as a junior, and he kind of came out with a bang and won that 220-pound title. So great job by all those guys at the Cobos this weekend.
Okay, good. All right, just so you know, too, it took you 12 seconds to say that 6-second was impressive. All right, so let's get ready to wrap this up for the week. We're going to talk about your opening weekend thoughts.
Well, obviously, we've kind of talked a lot about the in-county tournaments, and I kind of mentioned all the champs, but I would be remiss not to talk about the other champ kind of outside the area, and that was Bryce Keown of Firelands, a senior. He went 4-0 with 3 pins and a major decision to win the 145-pound title at the Edison Invitational, obviously a little bit west of us in Milan. So great job by him. And then as I was talking on the weekly recap show on WOL, Bull was kind of asking me what I kind of look for out of this first week, and I usually say it's the freshmen. I want to see what kids are starting their high school career and kind of do it with a bang. Who starts well? I've had great stories in the past on that. And obviously, 3 freshmen kind of finished really well in my eyes, and I kind of wanted to mention them as well. I will start with Ruben Pina Lorenzana of Firelands. He finished in the 113-pound final. He finished runner-up there, so he made it all the way to the final of his first tournament at the Edison Invitational. So that's a great finish for a freshman. Avon's Mason Fitch took third at 120 pounds, which second or third, that means you only lose 1 time in the tournament, so that's pretty impressive, at the Cobos Insurance Classic at Avon Lake. And then JoJo Norwood of Elyria, he's actually state ranked coming in as a freshman. He finished third at 170 pounds at the Titan Classic at Lorain. So 3 freshmen finishing in the top 3 of their first high school varsity wrestling tournament. Obviously, great jobs by those guys. Great job by Lorain County as a whole this weekend. And we're on to week number 2.
All right, good stuff. I think we need to change this to the Shaun Bennett pretty impressive Matt report.
Super impressive.
Super impressive
Yes.
Matt report.
Yes.
All right, so before we wrap this up, I do want to get one little thing because it's always fun to toss people under the bus.
Oh, lovely.
Why don't you tell me who we're going to be talking about this year? Who are the? It seems like every time we do one of these shows, every season they're the same kind of teams and kids that we talk about a lot. Who's that going to be? And are there any maybe some dark horses in there?
It's hard to say because it's so early in the season, but guys do kind of emerge every year. So there will be somebody who comes about that you weren't thinking about. Obviously, the guys you are going to watch are going to be the Elyria wrestlers because they're nationally ranked as a team, and they have 3 nationally ranked guys on the team. They have, I think, almost double-digit guys state ranked right now. So there's going to be a lot of guys. You want to see what they do both individually and as a team. And everybody kind of watches Elyria. That's just a natural thing anyway. There's several good guys. Obviously, Cale Saxon and Jordan Greer did not wrestle this weekend at the Cobos Insurance Classic for Avon, because they had to save their schedule points because they're wrestling at Walsh Jesuit the Ironman tournament this weekend. So they're 2 high-level guys. Mason Bingham is also state ranked for Avon. They're heavyweight, but he didn't wrestle because the Avon football team made it all the way to the Division II state semifinals. So he had just finished wrestling or playing football 5 days before the Cobo started. So he actually needed some kind of downtime to get back into wrestling shape and get ready for that. So there's lots of guys on that Avon team that look good. There's obviously we mentioned Bucknavich, Andrew Fillion, another state-ranked guy on Midview. So there is a handful of guys. Peyton Bergdorf from Firelands. We've talked about him a lot in the Matt Report. It's his senior year. It seems like he's been there forever because we've talked about him since he was a freshman. But he's going to probably have a nice big year. Finish with a 4th state placement, which is very difficult. So there are a lot of guys to talk about. And then there's definitely some guys. JoJo Norwood coming in as a freshman who's state ranked. Hayden Garrow's a great. If you read the story in the preview, his father is the North Ridgeville police captain who was a youth coach in wrestling who unfortunately passed away from after a short battle with cancer earlier this year, and he's dedicated his season to his father and said his father will be with him the whole year. That's a great story. We want to see how he does. So there are definitely a lot of guys to look at this year, Bruce.
All right. Well, thanks to our friends here at the Chronicle. Thanks to WEOL. And why don't you thank our sponsors, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, obviously, again, thanks to Cobos Insurance Center for sponsoring the show again this year. Thanks to Century 21, Deanna Family Realty for again bringing back that segment, My Favorite Move. Thanks to you, Bruce, as well for joining me in week 1. And like I said, thanks to everybody for watching the video.
Good. All right. And then next week we'll see. Maybe you'll have a surprise guest.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm going to try to put it together. We've got a few guys that said they might be interested in doing it, so we'll see if we can get them out here for it.
All right. Till next week.